Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another morning briefing webinar. I hope everyone is doing really well today. It's Wednesday, middle of the trading week. We saw some moves currently in the market. Just before we start, as always, to notice that this webinar is for educational and market analysis purposes only. If we find some live trade based on the analysis we do here, then we definitely take them. And before you participate in any trades that I open, make your own judgment. Now, let's just 1 second. Okay, guys, can everyone see my screen here? I'm at admiralmarkets.com website. Can you please type yes or no just to make sure you can see my screen? Yep, thank you so much, Rahel. Good morning to the guys who just tuned in now. So, what do we have for today? For those who are new and you haven't used it yet, if you go to admirals.com website, you will see here at analytics, we have the Forex calendar. It's really useful and users friendly, so I will encourage you to use it. We can choose here the time horizon we would like to see the news. From the filter, I always keep only the high impact news. I'm not interested for the low impact news. Okay, and then we just press apply filter. So for today, some time ago, we had the inflation rate in the UK, and we saw an increase in number. They were expected 9.3% and came up to 9.4%. Later, we're going to have the Canada announcing their inflation rate. They also expected to have some increase in the number and a bit significant increase here. And we see that the existing home sales, they are slowing down in the US. So that shows the inside of the economy. That shows that the people, they don't want to spend money to go and buy new homes for themselves. So that shows how the residents sees the economy in the country. Guys, something I would like to start showing you from today, it's the premium analytics. If we go to premium analytics, for those you do have access, press login, and then there is a very, very useful and compact application here that can help you to see the major news in the market, headlines, the morning briefings. This data is from Dow Jones directly, and you have the privilege to use them as Admiral Markets account holder. I think there are some requirements. I'm not 100% sure, sorry for that. You can find it out on the website. If we go to all news and top news here, we can read about the share market mainly, but of course, there are, as top news, there are also currency-related, commodity-related news. We see in Taiwan that the company Uni-President Enterprises shares are rising after the Carrefour acquisition, the Taiwan Carrefour acquisition. So for those you are buying and trading shares, it's good to keep an eye on. Netflix is losing more and more subscribers. Facebook shifts their resources from news to focus on creator economy. we talked about the construction that reflects with the homes as well, the US. Australians' financial stability risks a little elevated from the Reserve Bank of Australia official. Stocks lose ground as banks give quarterly updates. Bank of America profits fall 32%. That's the third update. There is also something I would like to show you. I saw it earlier. Okay, here it's been a while about this situation. H&M, they want to exit Russia. There is something with Amazon. It looks like it got a little bit to the downside. Anyway, I cannot find it now. So guys, that's how you can review the news from the Premium Analytics. It's really, again, very useful portal. I encourage you to use it. Okay. And I make a webinar specifically for that. It's recorded. You can just go and have a look if you want to know how to use this feature. Now let's go to the charts. Let's start from the S&P 500. We see that the S&P starts gaining a little bit of ground here. Yesterday we had this bullish candle with a strong close above the previous high. By the way, for those guys you haven't had the chance to participate in the webinar last night, I hosted a webinar about trend analysis. Trust me, it's what you really need to know in your trading. I made it very, very, very simple and explanatory. So I encourage you to go to the YouTube and have a look. Some people asked me last time what tool I use for drawing, and I realized that I had it on the other mode, so you couldn't see it. And that's, I hope now everyone can see it. It calls Epic Pen, and it's a free drawing software. You can download it from the Google, from the internet in general. So back to the chart, S&P 500, that's a daily chart. We see that the market was trying to make its way out of this symmetrical triangle. We had this high here. Now it's broken and closed with this bullish candle. So we have a higher high in the market. We expect to see more buying pressure coming in the next few days. We can retest these levels here. So there is a fairly room to move with this one. If we go down to the 4-hour chart, we will see that the market made a nice impulse move to the upside. We have this high here. Now we have this higher high. For those who draw trend lines or channels, we connect the lower point with the next lower point on the swing. So we have a trend line. If the market is going to pull back to this trend line and it's going to be rejected, then it's a valid trend line and it's a tradable. So if we draw our box here around the last swing high, matches with this trend line level, price level here. So if the market is going to reach somewhere at this area, we have two factors of confluence: the trend line, the last swing, which is this horizontal support now, and it's going to be a good opportunity if you will be around, and if the market, of course, is going to retrace back to this level. Let's see the DAX 40. Similar scenario, but different pattern. We talked about the DAX at that point here, that it was a bearish movement and the market kept the downtrend. And we said that here we have support and we draw our support horizontal. This bearish candle here. Once it hit the support, it's got rejected. We didn't have a close below. Then next day, the buyers came with force. They closed with a nice high here. We had this high here, and we said if this high is going to break, we are good to look to the upside. And let's go to the 4-hour chart. On the 4-hour chart, that's the same high we talked that it was break. Now we have a retest here. Good morning for those who just joined us. Welcome, guys. So the price pullback here, this bullish engulfing for those who were around was a no-brainer price action to trade for a few reasons, not just alone because it was a bullish engulfing. That's the last thing we see on the charts, the price action. The first, we see the market structure, and we see that this high here, which it was the last swing, had broken and closed higher. Or for some of you, you like to take this area here again. We still have a higher high in this market. Then we had a pullback here. The sellers, they make a retracement here, but short duration compared to this long impulse, intensive impulse here. And then we had this bullish engulfing. So it was a good opportunity. You could have an entry. You could have an entry here. You could have your stop below the low of this bullish engulfing, and then you could target up to here easily 3, 4, 2, 1 reward to risk. That was a good trade. Hong Kong 50. We have this market in a downtrend. We still have our area of interest around here. Maybe the market wanted to retest up to this level. Let's see on the 4-hour chart. I will still waiting for this market to push a little bit higher. Let's see this. No, that's not a valid one. This point here, then this point here. So this trend line is also valid. Yep, that's the first point after the high here. So that's a valid trend line. We will see what happens. Still bearish implication on this market. Nasdaq 100, similar with the S&P 500. What do we see here? We have this resistance, which it broke. Now it's going to act as support. We had these low points connected by this trend line. So for those who know about patterns, this is an ascending triangle pattern. If you see it with the line charts, it's more obvious. The market is unable to make lower lows, and at every decline, the buyers stepped in and rescued the prices and push it higher. At some point, we have a breakout. We're going to wait for a retest to go long on this market too, because now we have a very clear picture about Nasdaq, about S&P 500. We have some highs, they've been cleared. We see trend. So what else do we need? We need price to pull back at an area of a fair value so we can take long trades. Sometimes, actually most of the times, patience is key in trading, guys. Let's go to the gold. Still in a downtrend. Market participants, they are very bearish in this market. On the daily chart, we had this bearish candle here, some fluctuations within. On the 4-hour chart, we are just hovering around this zone. We want to clear these low points here if we're going to start looking for shorts, or this high point here if we're going to start looking for buys. Then euro US dollar. We are on the daily chart. We are still in a downtrend. This impulse moved to the downside. Now buyers, they stepped in for retracements. We don't know exactly where the buyers, they're gonna maybe retrace by sellers, and we're gonna have the downtrend intact. So far, we are in the middle of no man's land. So for me, it's not enough just a rejection, a small rejection of the 50 EMA to initiate, of the 21 EMA, sorry, to initiate short positions. On the other hand, also because, as I explained on the webinar last night, just very quickly, we are weekly is down, daily is down, the long-term trend is down. So 4 hour, it's an uptrend, but that's not a reason by itself to start looking for long. I know some traders, some educators, they do this. I want all the time frames to be in a line to risk my money before I risk my money, because I want to participate in high probability trades. I prefer quality over quantity on my trading. Okay, and that's how I also explain it and teach it to you guys. So because the major trend is down, anything can happen in the market. So at any point, the sellers, they can step in. However, there is a high probability if the market comes around to these areas here, because it's a strong area of resistance based on the past, we could see some good reaction from the seller side. So still on the sidelines for this market. Australian US dollar on the 4 hour chart, we see similar pattern like the euro, but if we go to the daily chart, actually here we see something. Let's clean up a little bit. Okay, so we have the low point here. Then we have this one here. It's an area of interest. The market broke higher. The red line you see, guys, on the chart is the current price. Okay, so I think it's confused us a little bit. So let's just change the color. Ask price, let's make it black. And price, let's make it black. Okay, so better now. We see that the market, it's trading around these levels here. Again, long-term trend is down. Short-term trend is up. It's a bit confusing for me at the moment to risk my money here. So I'm going to wait for at least the daily to make a clear higher high. So when I see retracement on the daily, I will go down to the 4 hour chart as I explain you how to trade with time frame correlation. 4 hour chart, be patient. We find a couple of strong price action signals, and then we are trade them to the upside. USD against Canadian dollar. We said that on the weekly we came, we retested and rejected this area here. So we expect to see a push to the downside. On the daily, there is nothing to consider for trade, but on the 4 hour chart, it was some opportunity around here. However, I didn't take it because, again, it wasn't clear for me. I wanted to see some strong close below these low points. As you so far understand, we want to see clear lower lows in the market and lower highs. So we had a rejection with this pin bar here, so it wasn't a strong signal for me to consider after a retracement. That's why I didn't take this retracement here to the downside. Now, something about this market on the daily chart, we see that here there is an area of interest, which previously the market reacted. So we wait and see what will happen here. There is not clarity in this market. Aussie yen, Aussie is still strong in general. Yen in general, it's still weak. So we can see that most of the markets, they are just pushing higher against the Japanese yen. This trend line was very important for this impulse move, because with 2 points we can draw the trend line. Then we have this higher high, a rejection here, that was a tradable signal. Then this inside bullish engulfing close to the trend line was a very, very good signal as well, because we had this high here, rejection to the upside, retest. That was a strong signal. What time was this one? It was 4 a.m. And many of us, I think, we weren't around at that time. That happened during the Asian session. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, the Ripple. Both of them, Bitcoin is the leader so far in the market. So in the cryptocurrency market, we see yesterday buyers, they stepped in for good. They cleared this high, which considered as a pin bar. That's a strong indication that buyers are really aggressive. We have a zone here around $31,000, $32,000. The market can move to the upside. After this point, we don't know what's going to happen, but at least that's what we have for now. Ethereum made higher high. It shows more strength than Bitcoin. Investors and traders, they show that they prefer Ethereum at this stage because it makes higher high. It didn't leave a tail behind like the BTC. Ripple the same. Now it made a new high. So any pullbacks considered with buy opportunities. Pound against the Japanese yen. We are still in this move to the upside, very choppy move though. There is no clarity here, so I'm just waiting on the sidelines. Euro yen has more clarity because we can see clear higher highs in the market. So the 4-hour shows nice impulse moves. Few tradable opportunities here as well. I don't know if anyone participate in this market. Just give me a second, guys. EuroCat. We will see what will happen after the news announcement about the inflation in the Canadian dollar. Also, remember that tomorrow we have the European Central Bank announcing their interest rates. Some rumors, they say, where I wrote online from some website and newspapers, they can expect an increase of 50 basic points instead of 25 basic points. So we expect to see lots of volatility anyhow tomorrow with the euro. Again, we are in the middle of nowhere. We are not at a point where the market participant initiate their trades. We see that this area here has a strong influence so far in the market, because when the market came here, it got retest, again retest, again retest, again retest, again then broke through, then retest, then again retest with small leftover tail, then it pushed the downside. So I'm not going to take this pin bar as a valid signal for now, because just out of the 21 moving average, I'm not happy to trade. I use the moving average as trend filters instead of looking them by themselves to initiate positions. I'm going to use the moving average to initiate position if the price is at the level of confluence, like horizontal or trend line along with the moving averages, or Fibonacci, of course. Then we have pound Canadian dollar. Pound CAD shows bearishness. We are sitting at this low, guys, here. So we don't know if we're going to have an impulse move to the downside, because we didn't have any retracement. That's why if everyone's selling, then who left to sell? The price at some point it's going to retrace. Same with the euro against the Australian dollar. We are sitting at these low points. I expect the price to come here and then to sell off, if it's going to sell off. So on the sidelines for now. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, it shows some strength to the upside. On the daily chart, we had this low point here, which is unable to create and close on a lower basis. So the market just pushed back a little bit, retraced, but it got rejected. We didn't close higher than this point here. So I'm still waiting to see, at least on the 4-hour chart. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Actually, on the 4-hour chart, it's good. We have a nice impulse move. Sellers, they didn't retrace all the way down here. So it's a good pair for me to keep an eye on and participate in this move. But I want the price to come and retest some of these levels here with the trend line. So let's see the Fibonacci retracement. Guys, I always look for 4 areas of confluence. And I spoke about them in the webinar, and I gave you the checklist I use. If you want, write this down. I want price to show higher highs or higher lows. So we are in an uptrend, a downtrend. And then I want the price to come back to retrace at the horizontal, Fibonacci 61.8% or 50%, trend line if possible, and of course price action, bullish engulfing or pin bars. Follow this to the letter, and you will see drastically more positive results in your trading. Okay. So I don't see question. No, I saw one question here from Florin. If you have, Florin asks, if I have buy trades on euro, is it okay to let them go? Look, as long as you are trading on the higher time frames, and as long as you have your protective stops in place, then there is no point to interact with the market. You have to let the market show you what's gonna happen next. Sorry, Kola, I don't understand what you just wrote 2 letters. Can you please write a complete sentence so I can understand? Okay, guys, it was a pleasure to host this webinar for you. So 1 second, we have one more comment. What currency is most strong and what is most weak at the moment, in your opinion? Look, guys, we see that the US dollar right now for intraday plays, it looks like, and for this session, it looks like the US dollar is one of the weakest. And the euro against the US dollar is strong. The Aussie against the US dollar is strong. The Canadian dollar, the pound against the US dollar, they look stronger. That's it. What about one more questions? Guys, I see a lot of questions coming in. I will appreciate from next webinar if you start writing your questions also a bit earlier. You don't need to wait for me to ask you about questions. So you can ask me a bit earlier. So I will take another few minutes to answer your questions. What about USD, Swiss franc, please, before you go? Definitely, let's have a look. USD, Swiss franc. So on the weekly chart, we see this pattern here. This pattern, it's what we call descending triangle. If we go on the candlesticks, it's a bit too much, so I don't draw this one. Here we have a support, here we have a resistance. So after this pin bar, of course, we expect to see a push to the downside. The market was ranging here, so we are within a range. Guys, this market, it's ranging, we are within a range, and in ranging markets, I either buy the support or sell the resistance, like this one here, pin bar on resistance, perfect signal, bullish engulfing on support, perfect signal, bearish engulfing on resistance, perfect signal for short, bullish engulfing on support, pin bar, you buy, but you have to be aware that the ranges, they don't last forever, they break, and the market continues to the direction they want to move. If we go on the 4-hour chart, of course, on the 4-hour chart right now, we see that we are in a downtrend. Short term is down. So the only bias I have here is that we are within a range. And within a range, I trade, as I say many times, either from the bottom and buy or from the top and sell. Does Elliott wave work? Absolutely, Elliott wave works. It's the series of higher highs and higher lows, and Elliott waves, they insist that at the first retracement we have the A, B, C pattern, and then the second retracement, most likely we're going to have this A, B, C, D, E pattern, and somewhere here they expect to continue the move. Yeah, but definitely it works because people, traders and investors are using them. That's why they work. So guys, saying that, I'll have to wrap up for today. It was again a pleasure to host this morning briefing for you. I hope to see you again on Friday, same time, with lots of market updates and market analysis. I wish you happy trading and talk to you soon. Thank you.